Victoria, thank you so much for sitting down.
What a pleasure.
Oh, this is a real honor for me. The gift that Marvel has given me over the past few years for me to enjoy as myself, but also as a father, has meant so much.
What did you find in this journey was the best thing for you as a fan?
It's the construction of a broad universe, because I was a collector growing up. And so I would collect Captain America, and then I'd get some Fantastic Four, and then I'd get some X-Men, and so they all played a role, and they would all cross over, and it was natural, and it made perfect sense. And the idea one day when all of a sudden I heard that, you know, it was entirely possible that there would be an Avengers movie and Spider-Man might be in the distance somewhere doing something else, that got my heart aflutter.
That was a big day for us too.
It was.
Because it's almost like the cousins coming home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about the pressure that you're under with a
pressure?
film like this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But you've got people like me, and then people who dial it up way past 11. And then there are people who didn't know much about these heroes before they came to the screen, and they've fallen in love with them in their own right and for their own reasons. And now you've given them a decade plus of adventures with this culmination. That to me seems like a lot of pressure.
The pressure that the people put on us is less than the pressure that we put on ourselves.
Really?
We are hard on ourselves. We're a group of fans, so if we don't like it, hardly doubt it you're gonna like it. So we chip at it and chip at it and chip at it until it's fan ready, which means it's ready for us. And that is probably the highest pressure, because we don't really, I mean, we listen to everything that people say, like you, that you're devoted to our craft, but also we listen to our hearts. And if we don't like it, we're not gonna do it.
But do you have a team of people who are constantly going over canon, going over old comics and looking for storylines that you might want to use in the future?
Well, every movie is designed to have a creative producer that looks at where the comics and every version of that particular character in the comic history, and see what were the things that were super cool then that can apply to be awesome today. What were the things that were of the time and now we want to update it, but we still want to talk about it in some shape or form. So the comics are always the springboard for us. I mean, I think that why this has worked, because people like you that collected, you feel represented on something that actually got you.
Yeah.
So now you see the moving image. And I think that's really important to connect with people like you, and then to connect with people like me that never saw any comics, except for I grew up in Argentina, so I had a different comic strip. It was called Mafalda. And you want to get me there, because if I'm going to take my daughter, you want me to go as well and be engaged.
Now, I know that on certain movies there are people who are there for continuity purpose. They want to make sure that the guy that was wearing a watch in one scene is still wearing it in the next, and they want to make sure that it took place in the 1920s, so nobody's wearing a digital watch. I don't know why I'm focusing on watches, but is there somebody who is responsible?
Are you a watchman?
I am.
There you go.
Yes, but is there somebody who is responsible for continuity throughout all 22 movies?
There's not one somebody.
No.
There's a team of people, because everybody that has done a movie or multiple movies, we all go back, and every time there is one reference to this film or that franchise or the second part of the franchise or the third, we're always going, so how does that fit? And how does that fit? And how do we do that? And how do we get that? And so it's constant. And listen, sometimes we miss it, sometimes we
Not
get
too
it.
often. Not too often. I mean, there was
I won't tell you
There's
where.
a Hulk and a Quinjet, and
What was it now?
yeah. Okay. I've asked a few members of the cast and the directors, so I'm going to ask you, what are you hoping fans feel when the final credits roll?
I hope they feel the love that we feel for these characters. We love these characters as our family members. Did you see the movie?
I have not yet seen the movie. I'm seeing it on Sunday.
I think that if we can let you sit there for a minute and feel love, then we've done our job.
Let's talk about something a little less romantic, the budgets of these films, which in and of themselves, I mean, they are heroic. They are huge. And it's so nice to champion these films and to hope they succeed and to watch them succeed. As fans, we know that if this one beats the record of the previous one, there will be another and another and another. And you and Marvel have proven that the quality doesn't suffer, unlike generations past with, say, Planet of the Apes, where the budgets would get slashed and the movies would get worse because they just wanted to keep making them. That's not what's happening here. Do you ever shake your head when you look at a budget for one of these movies and say, I can't believe that I'm responsible for this?
I look at it and I go, that's an exorbitant amount of money in relationship to something else.
Sure.
And then you look at what it is for, like, if you try to put some sense of reality into some of the numbers, they don't make a lot of sense. But then again, what we do in film is not real. So it goes hand in hand with what we do. But I think we are incredibly fiscally responsible as a company. I think Lou, Kevin, and I have created something that is so, we actually take care of that money as if it was ours, not the Walt Disney Company's or anybody else's, it's ours. So we're constantly saying that that's a waste of money. That doesn't make sense. I know somebody wants that, but we are not doing that.
You started your career in visual effects.
Yes.
Fairly male-dominated industry.
Yes.
How does working today in the industry compare to back then as it relates to gender parity?
It compares in a better fashion, but still very poor fashion. I think that we're making strides. I don't know how it is for you in Canada, but...
Well, here in this building, I can only speak for myself as the privileged white male that I am.
Yeah.
But I work with an abundance of strong women. Every boss that I have is a woman. And that's been most of my history since I started in television.
Well, that's
great. It
great.
would be weird for me to not have to report to a woman.
Really?
No, yeah, and I don't mean that in remotely in a funny way.
Is it because it's television?
I think it might be the lifestyle TV that we shoot here, but to me it makes perfect sense that the people making the decisions are the women.
Yeah. Well, I've had the complete opposite experience that you have had. I've always reported to men. Maybe once I reported to a woman, twice. Listen, I think it's changing.
Yeah.
I think your daughter, my daughter, will have a better go at it. I think that they will find that they can, they won't be afraid to have their voice heard, that they will own their seat at the table, that they will listen. I mean, sometimes people don't say it because they can't even listen to their own voice because they've been told to not. So, I mean, that internal journey has nothing to do with anyone but yourself. And I think that the more you see people, maybe like me, have a voice, the more you can see, oh, that could happen to me. The more you see someone behind the camera that is a female and not a male, you go, oh, that's a job I could do. Yeah. The more you walk into a room and there's a security guard that is a female and not a male, oh, that's a job I could do. I mean, I request for female drivers. I just request it.
Sure.
And it's an industry that grows when people ask.
Yeah. I believe it was an executive at Virgin Airlines. Just last week, they changed their logo to be more inclusive. And he said, you can't be what you can't see.
Well, the Gina Davis Foundation is, if you can see it, you can be it, right. Which is exactly that. And that's her slogan. And I always say that because Gina is phenomenal at that. And
that really resonates.
If you can see it, the reason why we think that men are in power is because that's all we've seen.
Yeah.
White men in power.
Well, and then then you championed a black superhero.
We sure have.
And boy, did that turn out the way a lot of people hoped it would.
And we championed a female superhero that is the most powerful superhero we have to date.
Yeah.
And the combined version of the earnings of those two films is $2.4 billion.
There were some really loud voices who proudly proclaimed, nobody wants to see a female superhero. Those women can't open a movie.
Yeah.
Black movies are niche movies.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful to live in a time where those voices are proven wrong. And it must be a proud moment for you who championed these stories to be told.
I always say that if I could leave a legacy for my little one, is the two pillars have been Captain Marvel and Black Panther. The rest of the house gets built under everybody else. But these two, if the tornado comes and takes it away, the two pillars will remain. That those are the two pillars that will get us there.
My last question is my most important question. I know just from watching and experiencing these movies that a lot of time and foresight is put into planning each phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me things you don't want to tell me.
Yes.
But just tell me how much planning has been, like, How much do you know about Phase 4?
I know
the
everything.
Next step. You know everything. So it's all planned out.
I know everything there is to know. Whether it's all planned out or not, are you saying, is there a Phase 4 coming?
Well, I have to assume there is.
I can tell you this. We have, where is your camera? We have 6,000 characters in our library. We have many, many stories to tell.
Oh, I know you do. I can't
Many
wait.
stories to tell. There's so much coming.
I can't wait.
It's a beautiful thing. I think you are going to live through the eyes of your children the way that you live through the comics. And hopefully we'll continue to make you proud. If you invite me back, we can chat more about Endgame, because now you haven't seen it.
No, but I will.
But the one thing I would say to your viewers is to please don't spoil it.
No. I don't think a lot of people want to spoil it.
There's a lot of stuff online. Don't read anything.
I haven't seen it.
Just don't go online.
No,
Just
I'm going into the country. Going to the bush this weekend. Yes. Thank you so much.
What a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here, and you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.